Hi folks, Mythicody, I'm here. Well, not the first video I wanted to produce in the new year, but here we are once again with Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, and D&D being in the news again. This time it's nothing nefarious though, which is quite a relief. Now I swear to you, I have scripts written about other games, game mastering, and more. This just fell out of the sky while I was setting up to record, so here we are. So earlier today, January 31st, there became some online buzz about Hasbro selling D&D to the Chinese megacorp called Tencent. So they are massive into video games and other products, but it's mostly video games, and we'll circle around back to that in a bit. Now, let me be clear. I love D&D. I've played it for 40 years, and I will continue to play it, or some version of it, for hopefully the next 30 plus.
Why are you so old?
Now, I've been here for every iteration of the game since white, red, and blue boxes. I still have that D20 that came with the box, the one that you had to use a crayon to color in the numbers. So, you know, I do have a passion for Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I'm not a fan of the corporate shenanigans that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have done over the past year, though.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
And I do stand by that. The corporate folks are the ones that will likely kill D&D, not any other game. Now, you do not need to give them any more money if you already have the Player's Handbook, DMG, Monster Manual, and there are the host of third-party content creators that really should be paid for keeping this game afloat. So, when news broke of an article published today on Speed Daily, a Chinese media news site, a few folks picked up on it and ran with D&D is to be bought by Tencent, and the video's already popping up. Now, we just need to pull the reins in a little bit and take a breath and read the article a bit more carefully. So what this seems to be saying, according to the English translation on Pandaily, is that Hasbro approached Larian Studios, the folks who made some small indie game called Baldur's Gate 3. You may have heard of it. Hasbro reportedly spoke to them about purchasing the IP of D&D for video game. Now, even though Larian had just a slight modicum of success with Baldur's Gate 3, they did not have the cash that Hasbro wanted for it, likely in the upper end of the millions and probably near the $1 billion mark. But Tencent, who owns a chunk of Larian as a minority investor, was hooked up with Hasbro through them. Now, it looks like Tencent is trying to purchase a series of rights, including adaptations of D&D, but for video games. I firmly believe Tencent is not about to step into the publishing world, not even the hottest one on the planet. So Hasbro is not about to offload D&D to a Chinese conglomerate, at least not yet. D&D is going into its 50th anniversary. They're about to drop their 6th edition update of 5th edition, and things like Stranger Things will have Season 5 releasing this year as well, keeping D&D in the minds of those who have never thought of it before watching that series. That kind of marketing is insane for D&D and the hobby in general. Wizards of the Coast will be launching their hopeful cash cow, that is the VTT, likely mid to end of year. As well as D&D Beyond is still pulling in numbers for them, which is almost all profit for Hasbro. When things are pulling in a profit, not just sales volume, you keep it around. Things that cost you money, such as E1 Entertainment, well, apparently you sell it off for less than half what you paid for it and cut your losses.
Winning!
Even as Hasbro stocks sink and their debt keeps piling up, I believe they would keep D&D and wotc to ensure that all their money sunk into these projects sees some kind of return. Now, Magic the Gathering is still hauling in record sales and profits, and even though D&D pales in comparison to those numbers, which will be lower this year without that juggernaut that was Baldur's Gate 3 injecting much needed revenue, it is still performing well enough to keep around. Hasbro will continue to part out its IPs to make quick cash, even though in the long run it may be more profitable to keep them.
You're an idiot.
But we will see in 2024 and 2025 what that holds for the company. So no, the sky is not falling. D&D will not be sold outright to a Chinese conglomerate. Some of their IP may end up exclusive to Tencent, and then Tencent will part it out to whoever they wish to deal with. But the full published books, D&D Beyond, the VTT, and other things will stay firmly with wotc until Hasbro becomes so desperate to avoid a potential bankruptcy. Now, if that happens, all bets are off. So what do you think of the news? I think this is just a blip on the corporate radar, but I am curious to hear what you think in the comment. Do you think this is just a video game IP sell? Or could Hasbro be desperate enough to sell D&D as a whole to Tencent? I guess we'll find out in the coming months. But that's it for me today. I have more videos coming up about the MCDM RPG, DC-20, Tales of the Valiant, more on Pathfinder, and a host of other topics this year. And I hope to catch you in the next video. If you're liking the comment, remember to hit that like button, maybe even subscribe, and share the video. Heck, leave your favorite emoji in the comments if nothing else. It's for that wonderful YouTube algorithm. But in the meantime, and in between time, may all your games be full of myth, mirth, and magic. Bye for now.